My name is Paul Wilson, and I'm doing a professional development on defining multicultural education for school reform. And today is October 10th, 2014. Hopefully you enjoy. So, a little brief introduction. We find that multicultural education is an essential component of school reform. When we limit our ideas that multicultural education is only about relationships with others, sensitivity training, ethnic holiday celebrations, or food festivals that we might have in school, we diminish our chances to think and reform our methods of teaching in schools. We can also further use the term multicultural education to address the conflicts and the inequality issues that are present in various school settings. So, if I could, I need you to take one of your forms out. I need you to turn to the first part where it says introduction. Okay? And it says, what does multicultural education mean to you? I want you to write what your thoughts are, and then I want you to share your thoughts with your partners. Go ahead and do that now. Again, what do you think multicultural education means to you? Because everybody has their own beliefs. And then after you write it down, please share with your partner. What do you think? Again, it's not just about celebrating just with just foods. It's more than that. What do you guys think?
Nothing.
Oh, we have to share.
We have to share.
Okay.
Many different cultures don't use the one box like crayons.
Okay.
We all have to learn to share.
I can see that. Very nice. What about you, Mr. McKee?
It's educating groups of people with ethnocentric, ethnocentric community that's different from your own.
I've been becoming acquainted with the cultural backgrounds of the students and incorporating it into lessons whenever applicable and appropriate.
So trying to accommodate for every student, right? In any way possible. Very good. Okay.
I thought that multicultural education means increasing the awareness of differences in cultures as a positive characteristic of life.
Positive in terms of just making sure that.
It strengthens us as a world.
Okay.
Differences are positive, not negative.
That's good. All right. So why should we have school reform? Well, we can look at our students and see, again, a diverse group of children. Having a classroom that emphasizes the context and process of education, rather than viewing multicultural education as a supplementary, is an essential key to what multicultural education actually is. However, we should also understand that it is not meant to fix the curriculum issues or the underachievement of our students and behaviors of the general population. It's more to it than that. It is known that the only way to solve these problems would be to actually address the inequality issues that are present in today's society head on. We have to attack it head on. We can't just turn a blind eye to it. Also, as we find out that the underlying reasons of why we have these issues, and when we find those issues out, then we can accommodate for our students in a way that is more meaningful to them. Okay. So again, on number 2, it says, I need you to list your ideas on how you can reform your own classroom. What things can you do for your students? After you do that, I need you to find one person and then again exchange your thoughts and concerns about what you think it would mean to reform your own classroom to fit your students' needs. Go ahead and do that right now. How could you reform your class? to have a volunteer share out one of their thoughts or ways that they can reform their classroom. What do you mean teach by diversity?
Teach about diversity. When a situation occurs, stop the class and have, well, why would you think this culture would do this versus this culture?
So have an actual class discussion so that there can be an understanding being built in the classroom setting. Very good. Do you have a form of reform that you could possibly use in the classroom?
Yeah, I put a cultural celebration wall. So we can have a wall in the classroom where like artifacts from a specific culture, and throughout the month we gather information about that culture, and then we maybe change that out every quarter or every month.
So again, gaining knowledge through visual evidence. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So here's the definition that I found about multicultural education. And again, there's different various ways to define multicultural education. NATIVE states that multicultural education are seven different things. It's anti-racist education, basic education, important for all students, it's pervasive, it is education for social justice, and it is a process. And finally, it is also a critical pedagogy. And I'm going to go over each one of those today. So anti-racist education. Now, superficial aspects of anti-racism is prevalent in our schools today. Because many people assume that the school's multicultural program automatically takes care of that racism, we stress that multicultural education must be consciously anti-racist. Curriculum that is given to students need to be both balanced and inclusive. We also need to teach our students that not only the good things that happen, we need to teach our students that not only the good things that happened in history, but we also need to teach them about the hardships of the people who came before us. Also, there is a fear of teaching the negatives of our past, which leads to educators teaching a watered-down version. For example, Martin Luther King has always talked about how he had a dream. Well, he was more than that. That's all we're teaching our students is that we don't know about the past yet, about his involvement with the whole Vietnam War. I don't even know that until I actually read the textbook. So, also by creating school policies and practices, again, the administration, in detail, what is expected of the staff and its diverse students. The philosophy of multicultural education is achieved. Educators have their own beliefs and ideals, which makes having conversations about the issue of racism a very difficult topic. That's very understandable. People fear that if you talk about it, rumors will spread and stuff like that. But regardless of whether we are the victimized or not, everyone is fully responsible for fighting racism. So on number 3, it says, please find a partner and work together. Do you think it is better to have watered down curriculum, or should we teach our students the entire truth? What do you think?
The entire truth. Truth? So
And
set
why?
you free.
It'll set up for
The entire truth.
Yeah, because
I think
we're not giving them that opportunity to learn the full history. We're just giving them a piece because that's what we feel is safe. And that's something that, you can take it both sides, but it's something to think about.
What's an example of prevalent racism in
Prevalent
schools?
racism in schools, in terms of just
In schools,
Well, that was your first point. Yeah, in education.
historically,
I mean,
do you mean historically or?
no, I mean like currently.
Well, I think that if you were in a downtown Los Angeles school,
okay.
you might have difficulty between African Americans and Hispanic Americans based on race.
So based on the environment, that
Yeah.
can affect
Yeah.
how. Okay.
Yeah, and historically we know they existed. I will tell you that in my class, every year I taught, if you mention Asian populations, which are high achievers, almost everybody in the classroom laughs. There's an unspoken underlying sense of amusement about Asians and our kids. Have you ever noticed that? Bring it up.
No, yeah.
And they laugh or make fun of a different appearance. And when actually you wish they would model their work ethic, gentleness and so on. So that actually is prevalent, but very quiet. Quiet.
We had such a high time. The AES other outside culture is an unknown.
It could be. And don't forget, is it racism or just, differences? Because I think the last existing prejudice
Just
is
all encompassing in
male-female.
terms of anything that can
Yeah,
be
exactly.
part of the whole.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get a handle of.
The last existing prejudice that I think we face now is still male-female. And you know, you don't fuss at it, but you recognize it and you deal with it.
So sexism in terms of,
Mhm.
yeah, discrimination,
Within each
basically.
culture.
Each one.
Because I know when I was in elementary school, you know, there was the whole school, like I split my lines into boys and girls. You know, I don't have, you know, them being in one line. I don't know if that's an issue for some people, but I've noticed some teachers actually have them boy, girl, you know. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I just think, you know, it's, again, it's probably a person's beliefs in that sense.
That's something I do.
Yeah.
Girls and boys.
Because
For,
I've noticed
for the one reason, it's like in greater society, women each go through the door first. So to me, it's like, okay, gentlemen, ladies always go first.
That's lovely.
Ooh, okay.
That's
So-
etiquette. That's
Yeah,
etiquette.
Yeah.
etiquette.
Mhm.
That's
So teaching them that sort of, you know, respect for,
yeah.
okay.
Even when I was a school bus driver years ago, and I drove for a middle school, I met some girls on one side of the bus and boys on the other, because at that point there's exploration going on.
Okay.
And I made that fine line on my bus, girls will sit on this side, boys will sit on this side, and then you will not
Never
cross
the
the
twain
aisle.
shall meet.
No, exactly, and you don't cross the aisle. So, you know, it just depends on where you're at, how are you confined.
How much hormones?
Alright, next one.
You know,
Basic education. We have many schools that teach their children monoculturally, and that does not do justice to our diverse population of students. This in turn creates a learning environment that is incomplete, as it only focuses on limited information given by that specific educator. So for example, my experiences are limited to what I've experienced in my life. So is yours, and so is yours. You have no idea what I've had to go through, and I have no idea what you've had to go through. I'm from the Philippines. You're not from the Philippines. So you don't have my background of going to a specific private school and then going to my house and having to help my parents sell bread on the corner. I remember doing that. So it's based on everyone's experiences. And using that information to convey to your students, you have that ability. But another teacher might not have that ability because you're limited to the current information that you currently have. Having curriculum that is just static does not expand our common culture. It actually hinders it. We need to expand our basic education by expecting all students to be able to learn and speak new languages while also exposing them to literature from various parts of the world. So for example, in order to accommodate for our students, we might, you know, provide texts so that they're not only learning English, but maybe providing some Spanish texts so that we will have students that can, you know, somewhat speak English and Spanish, or Tagalog, or Italian, or Russian. That way, everyone's culturally diverse and everyone's being accommodated and everyone's learning new things. Again, this is just.
are there legal limitations on that though?
Well, it will probably depend on not only the administration and their ideas and beliefs, but also, you know, the educators' beliefs as well. So again, it's limited information based on what we.
Can we teach in Spanish here?
Are we? I'm not sure if we're allowed to. I haven't talked to like the
I thought it was state law they had to teach it.
I mean ELD, right? We're you know,
Right.
we're limited to teaching that English block for that because it's sanctioned. But what about the rest of the time?
So I don't know. It's my understanding that.
So maybe a form of we're not just fully informed
I mean,
about our
you can
duties
kind of
as a teacher. So
help
that could be
if you
another
speak
issue.
Spanish for a Spanish speaker.
So,
It actually does. It hinders the acquisition of the second language.
exactly.
So
Also, NATO declares that all students deserve a chance at an equitable and high quality education, and that it is what it means when multicultural education is basic education. Okay. All right. So I have next one is creativity. Go ahead and please turn your page. And my question to you is, are you providing creative lessons that pertain to your classroom to meet the diverse learners of our students? What are some ways that we can accommodate our diverse learners? Are we doing creative things in the classroom? For example, I'm doing whole brain teaching so that they can be creative in their classroom. Are you doing anything creative in your classroom?
No.
Or what things do you think you could do that is creative in your classroom? That would be another thing you could possibly recommend.
to enhance the multicultural awareness?
In regards to multicultural education.
Well, I like to use examples
From other
cultures that I've
okay.
gathered information on.
And how do you use that in a creative way? How would you
As
use
a as an introduction or as a checking for prior knowledge.
So the APK part, activating
yeah.
prior knowledge. Okay.
Plus, as a way of showing our students here that there are other cultures besides the white and Hispanic cultures. There's Asian cultures, and so I bring that up, and there's African cultures that are, you know, I'd say, how would you guys, if you guys lived in Africa, what would your school look like?
Mm-hmm.
How would you be learning math?
Because I remember when I came over here, I was surprised when, all the students weren't wearing school uniforms. I was so used to wearing a school uniform every day to school, and then when I come back here, I'm like, oh, school uniforms. So it's it's nostalgic to see that there's wearing school uniforms. And again, it just depends on the society and the location of where you live. Because look, for uniforms in Bakersfield, it's private schools, right? Is this a private area school? I don't think this is a private school.
There
So
are a
that's
few
it.
public schools that
Okay.
they do have, but not
I
many.
think so.
So does that depend on is it the
School
principal or is it the actual
I think
district?
it's a
that
school
decides
district.
Usually
I'm not
district
really
or district usually. Maybe principal led.
Yeah, I think it is principal because I subbed in
Ooh.
CSC and some
Did you?
schools have uniforms, others do not.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I have a Cambodian student, and she's a delight. We're all excited to hear a language we don't know, to look at it. It's so different physically. She's bringing stories from home, asking her family now for stories that she can bring to us. She found a Cambodian dictionary in the library, and then we have a couple of youngsters in kindergarten who are Cambodian, and she's so excited about connecting up with them. So we're bringing they know nothing about Cambodia at all, and so they're learning.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. And she's developing pride also. She loves the forum to share and to not be quiet about her difference, but she presents her difference.
So she's very
She's engaged.
motivated.
She's very proactive. Yeah.
very cool. Alrighty, pervasive. NATO confirms that multicultural education is a philosophy, a way of looking at the world. The curriculum, environment, and social relationships are all part of multicultural education. We need to teach using various methods and begin incorporating creativeness in our lessons, again to spark a light in all our students like we were just talking about. We may incorporate diversity in terms of school meals by maybe allowing students a chance to eat food from various cultures. That's something that we could do. Maybe get some baklava. That would taste good. I love baklava.
August.
Or hummus, or some hummus. So, and also the understanding that we respect other languages and allowing students to actually speak their language, in the classroom would be possibly a right step in creating multicultural. Not saying, hey, this is an English class, we shouldn't do that. That's monocultural education right there. You're limiting them. You're saying that their language is not good enough for you, and that's not what we want.
Well, but you can make a correction without implying
Yes.
disapproval or negativity.
But I have seen some students just, teachers telling their students were like this. You need to stop while I was observing when I was a prospective teacher. I was like, whoa. So it's pretty intense. So, yeah, we shouldn't do that, but we should respect everyone's languages. That's what it's basically trying to say. Okay, social justice. Now there needs to be an understanding that we can question how things currently are, and that it is okay to do so, because that is how social justice is achieved with regard to multicultural education. Again, educators are asked to promote equality, as well as retaining the status quo. However, trying to converse and question whether or not our schools are doing the right thing may alter the current status quo. So, it's back and forth and it clashes. Society has many contradictions, and we need to be aware of that so that we can address issues to help reform our schools. So we're trying to build equality, but we're trying to protect the status quo. And, that's going to clash back and forth. Also, I got a quote from Homi Bhabha. It is from those who have suffered the sentence of history, subjugation, domination, diaspora, displacement, that we learn our most enduring lessons for living and thinking. We have to go through specific parts of our lives, and those parts of our lives affect who we are.
What does he mean by that?
The whole this.
Yeah. From those who have suffered the the sentence of history, subjugation, domination, diaspora, displacement.
So,
I
you
haven't
know,
had any of those
from
sounds.
history, do you know of certain groups of people who have suffered?
Okay, so groups of
During
people.
World War.
Yeah, during an example of possibly wars and what they had to deal with. Maybe they had to deal with things that were unjust and unfair. So from the past history, we can learn from that.
Okay,
And try
so
to
throughout
build-
history.
Yeah, and try to help, modify it so that we can accommodate everybody.
On a smaller scale,
On a-
you
yeah.
can experience injustice, unfairness, bullying, which has no basis at all, and grossly unfair for that reason. It's very, very painful. So you can sense, you don't have to go through, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think you can get to that place through other experiences as well. And be made sensitive to what that kind of history might do to you.
All right, let's finish up the last two. Okay, process. It is a process that we need to understand. Multicultural education is a process, and it involves relationships of people. For schools to improve this process, we need to look at what expectations that they are setting, the schools, the learning abilities and preferences of the students, and the environment in which they are learning. So providing all of that for our students is going to help build that process of reforming our schools to be more, a multicultural
For the
classroom.
United Nations.
Curriculum must be redone to accommodate our diverse learners. Textbooks, I've read, they're made by people who they create it in the factories, and then they try to find an author, and then they sign it. The author had nothing to do with those texts. That's what I found out during one of my readings. Those textbooks that we use, they're not even by those authors. They're created, and they use other textbooks. That's why they all look almost the same. They just modify it and try to make it better than the other. So Harcourt, Pearson, all those textbook companies do that.
This formula creation.
Yes, trying to make it so that, hey, this standard needs to be covered. Let's put that on there. So another company will be like, hey, no, let's look at this book. All right, let's make a question that's even better than that. So schools will buy our textbooks. It's a money laundering scheme, basically. That's what it turns out to be. So again, we can't just rely on the curriculum we have. We need to find ways that we can accommodate all our students. Again, to be a truly multicultural school, students and teachers need to be on the same page and engage in learning in that meaningful way, not just relying on the textbooks. Let's try to find some resources on our own. We need to try and attempt to do something for students. Okay, last one, critical pedagogy. We tend to teach in a way that is convenient and uncontroversial. It includes that a multicultural approach values diversity and encourages critical thinking, reflection, and action. The basis of critical pedagogy is achieved when students become active learners in the classroom. Thank you very much.
Thank you.